Yo, everybody, what's up? OCD Mikey, Hi-Fi Guy here, and I am doing a follow-up vid for you guys. A follow-up vid from the show this last weekend. I finally got around to it. It's been crazy. I've been fighting off some northern virus, whatever the hell is up here, but I'm kicking its ass with quercetin, vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. The usual. The cure of the resistance. Yeah, man. Okay, so about the show, because many of you think that, I've done videos before talking about the shows and how I don't like the shows. It's not that I don't like the shows. What I don't like is the commercial part of the shows, the big names that are always the guys that are the, investment banking corporate groups. Like, for instance, I walked into this show, there was no Macintosh anywhere. They're not represented here. There was no Sonos Faber. There was no Focal. And when you come to, say, like Expona, and you walk in and you're plastered with Macintosh and all these corporate brands, dudes with suits and ties. You're like, dude, get your freaking corporate bullshit out of here. It's not this, I'm a very much a music person, and I do it for the people and the love of the passion of music. These guys are doing it for money, right? So they don't give two shits, many of them, about music or whatever. They're just running a company or running a marketing arm or whatever. So I didn't see a lot of that. That's what made this show a lot better. This reminded me of the smaller, the passionates, it's more intimate, and more of the people that are passionate about music. I like the rooms where it completely transcends analysis of the audio rig. You're really just not even thinking about it. You're just connected to the music. And so there were a few that I really liked. Some that stood out to me was, and probably the one that felt the room that felt the most like if you say, well, which room do you think was the best? It was, for me, it was like, I'm not using my brain for that. I'm using my heart, right? Like what feels the best, what connects me to the music the most. So when I go to that, when I walk in a room, I go by, how does it feel? That's the first thing. So what I got, probably the room that gave me the most sumptuous musical enveloping experience was the Voxative room, Voxative of Germany. Great room. Inez really knows music. You can tell when you go in there, this is a person that loves music, that knows music. She played some great tunes. She really knows how to tune a rig and make it sound beautiful. I was like, the whole environment in here is absolutely just wonderful. I felt like I could just sit here for hours. That one stood out. Wolf von Lange, also from Germany, was a great speaker. That room was more so, I was amazed by the immediacy or the presence of the sonic. Okay, so I was still connected with the music, but I was a little bit more engaged in, wow, they really have the top end sorted here, because the presence was so good and clear, without being analytical or threadbare or astringent, right? It was not just clean, it was realistic. It had realism to it, really good realism. And these were $18,500. They were field coils with a AMT on top, a two-way. Really had a great sonic. I went into Charlie King's room. Charlie King, Stella Vox, man, they were playing tapes. These are the second you walk in there, you just know, man, these are music people. They're playing tape on a Stella Vox. Their original 1960, 1961 recordings, and just, man, you just knew you're with the music people. It's like my people. I know when I walk in and I hear, and I know the rooms that are my people. There were some cool things too. I also look for innovation, and who's innovating, who's doing some interesting things. There was Sonor, I want to say Sonor or Sonnet Audio. I'd have to look in my cards. A guy out of Portland who is making his own field coil speakers here in United States. The really huge magnet on the back, and just gorgeous design. I mean, really, with the rear firing whizzer along with the front firing whizzer, and quite a beautiful construction. Like, I was like really impressed. Made in USA, and just a beautiful field coil. I mean, who's making field coils? It's this one guy. We met the owner. The guy's there. He's like by himself. His first show. That was super, super cool to see. I like to see those guys. I like to see that there's still the passionates out there that are creating and making their own stuff and bringing it to shows, because it's a pain in the ass to do these shows. Trust me. It's just, man, I saw people sitting down after that third day, and I was just like, ugh. I used to remember that. You know, by the third day, I was exhausted, and then we had to do breakdown after you're exhausted and you're just shot out. The last thing you want to do is start packing stuff away and lifting heavy boxes. But let's see if I can think of anything else that sort of stood out. The live vibe. It was interesting to see a lot of live vibe stands being used under the amps. So you hear me talk about live vibe audio, the mechanical grounding for vibration out of the components. Live vibe audio. I saw them under quite a few different pieces of equipment, so it was nice to see that. They weren't necessarily in a room, but they were in a lot of rooms. People were using their stuff, so that was nice to see. Saw Pure Audio Project, Zev from Israel. Hey Zev, what's up, brother? That was good. It was good to see him. We had a dinner with Jeff Rowland. We all went out. We waited an hour and a half for a damn Korean barbecue place. They told us it was an hour wait. We waited an hour and a half, and they still didn't seat us. Nick, my boy from that works at Walter Reed, he's a Navy medic. He met us at there. He actually went in and told the people to scram. He's like, man, we're waiting. You guys already paid. What are you doing still sitting at the table? But they didn't leave. So we took off and went to a Chinese food place that was great, and we had all sorts of interesting dim sum. We had some really interesting salty plum like drink. We were laughing. We told stories. I had my friend Pepper in, who lives here. Pepper, the guys that I was here with were from New Orleans, and then also Isaac from back in Atlanta. These are coffee guys, right? I'm a coffee guy too, but not like those two. Those guys are more coffee guys than I am. Like, they have the real good machines at home. They make the proper espresso. And I hooked them up with my friend Pepper, who lives here, who imports Japanese cold drip brew machines. You know, they're not. It's not a machine. It's just a cold drip apparatus, really, which is gorgeous. It's all brass, polished brass and glass, and it looks like a full laboratory apparatus with a bunch of bulbs and drips and petcocks and stuff, and it makes cold coffee brew. Pepper's unleashed, and man, he's like my coffee friends, like times 10. Like, they were blown away. He started pulling up pictures of his coffee rig, his coffee lab, he calls it, back at home. He's actually roasting his own stuff. He laid some pounds of roasted beans, some Ethiopian Yirgacheffe, which is my favorite. Got a bag of that, which is awesome. So we spent an evening with Roland, with Pepper, with the guys from New Orleans, with Robert from Live Vibe, with Big John was with me the whole time. So we had a great time, and a lot of the fun for these shows is the dinners, the camaraderie, the people that you meet, the conversations, and we enjoy each other's company and enjoy music and all that kind of stuff. But this hard-nosed business bullshit, it's not for me, it's not for me at all, whatever, this is about music, and music is fun. It's not like stressed out business bullshit, which some people are. It's interesting to know some of the rooms that you go into, you can really tell who understands music and who doesn't. Some of the rooms, even though they have great rigs and great setups, they're so discombobulated with the music that you're like, oh man, they don't even get it. It's like, it's a weird vibe. When you walk into those rooms, you can't warm up to it because it's like there's anxiety. It's anxiety with the music. They want to switch it and start playing different things to try and appease you and what have you. it's like an anxious vibe, and that can ruin an experience for a good rig if you're at the show, and it's anxiety going on in there. You're not comfortable, you just want to get up and kind of bail. You don't want to sit and listen to the music. So it was clear which ones were into the music, which ones weren't into the music so much, or were discombobulated, and it makes a big difference. I knew the rooms that were Margules was another one from Mexico City. They had a real nice musical room. They had a vacuum tubes going on, and some line array type tall, thin speakers that were great. That was another room that impressed me as being very musical. Oh yeah, another thing, special mention, was the new MoFi speakers, which are $3,800. They're monitors, but they're big fat monitors, right? And they're 10-inch dual concentric drivers that punch and they were with Hi-Fi Rose, server and amplifier. The whole rig was under $15K, and this is like a brilliant starter rig, enough that I'm going to sell it. I saw it and I'm like, I need to be able to offer this to my people. The speakers were $3,800, the amp was $6,000, the streamer was like another $6,000 or something like that. So it was, whatever, it was under 15 when we did the math. So it wasn't 6, it was like whatever, 4, 6, and 38. So it was under 15K the whole rig. And it was amazing. It could play loud and dynamic, so total party system. If you're younger, it's like the perfect starter rig. Like it's a killer starter rig. So I'll be selling that shortly. Let's see if I can think of anything else. There was the big elaborate vac room, and von Schweigert. But I didn't really connect with that one. I don't connect with the bombastic kind of punchy in your face type rigs. That one kind of sounded like that to me. It doesn't mean it's bad. They sound good, but to me it's just not my flavor. I saw something called Geshelli Labs out of Florida. Really cool little stuff. Great story. American family. The family all works together. Mom and Pop and Uncle Joe. Grandpa Joe. And the mom does the anodizing. Grandpa Joe does the woodwork. The boy or the husband of man, I don't know her name. I can't remember her name. He does all the circuit design. It's all circuit designed in USA, which is cool. I love it when there's a company where everything's designed in USA. They're new people. They're designing their own shit. They're not using modules and just trying to hodgepodge a product together. So Geshelli Labs, they have a couple headphone amps. Some of them are hand carved, where they have hand carved wood. There is no two alike. Every one is a one-off. I'm like, dude, this is super cool. And the fact that it's made in USA, designed in USA, that was huge. I did have a talk with Perlison, and I put the hard questions to him. I said, why is your speaker $20,000 when it's made in China? The thing I have to give to Perlison is they stand for China. I don't agree with it. I would not buy their product. That's just my personal thing. I don't want to support anything that has to do with the CCP and keeping people in concentration camps and sweatshops. But he said to me, there's no sweatshops, and there's no sweatshops in China. I'm like, dude, oh my God, are you kidding me, dude? Come on, man. Maybe he doesn't see it. Maybe because he's a manufacturer, American guy that carries some weight, they insulate him from that. But I know bands. I've got a guy, one of my tribe members, who's in a band that toured in China, and they went into the belly of the beast. I mean, that means away from Hong Kong, away from Shanghai, away from those towns that are westernized. He went into the belly and into the middle, into the, and there are sweatshops, and it's really sad. He was like nearly brought to tears. And I'll interview him someday, and you'll hear that story. But supporting China is like supporting evil on this planet. So I never would. The fact that they're making speakers for $20,000, selling them for $20,000, they stand for it, man. I got to give them that, And I like the guy, the founder. I really liked him. I'm like, I like this guy. You know, I don't agree with making shit in China and selling it for the same price as the stuff made in America and whatever. And his angle or his thing was, look, it performs just as well, you know, so or better, and by our measurements. I prefer to use ears as well as measurements, and not just rely on spec. But he's saying, you know, according to spec, plus his thing was telling us that they divulge spec, which he says a lot of speaker manufacturers don't. So they don't hide anything, you know, and they don't hide that they make them in China. But I'm like, still, dude, we know, you know, why do I want something for $20K made in China? I just don't. I don't want speakers. First of all, I don't want anything made in China, period. But if I'm gonna, the reason I would go to that or consider it would be because I can get $20,000 things that are made for 10 grand or 8 grand, not when you're charging the same damn price as an American product or a European product. He said, yeah, well, how many of those products do you think have drivers not made in China? And I was like, you know, that's a good point. I understand the baskets and a lot of the stuff is still made in China. But, you know, and then one of the guys there said, you know, well, where do you think your cell phone's made? And I was like, look, dude, I don't really have much of a choice with cell phone. I have a Samsung. I presume it's made in Korea. Maybe it's made in China too. But I don't really have a choice with that. I definitely have a choice with hi-fi. I can draw the line there. I don't wear shoes made in China, even my sneakers. If it says made in China, I put it back. I buy the made in Vietnam stuff. Same with my jeans, same with my clothes. My jacket's made in USA. It's like all my stuff is like, you know, so I seek out. If it says made in China on the label, I put it back. I don't buy it. That's just me personally. To each his own. Okay, maybe some people think the problem's too big. We can't do anything about it. I'm more of a man of action, and I feel, you know, I can do something about it. So it was interesting though to talk to the guys. I went to them on purpose because I wanted to understand them, and I did respect that they stood for China, and they didn't hide it, and they stood for it. So that's the way to do it. If you're gonna do it, that is the way to do it, like a man, you know, to hide stuff made in China and pretend. I saw some Borison speakers that were made, and then they, you know, Borison is this Danish company that says, you know, I mean, all their stuff it's expensive, you know, a couple $100,000 speakers, $80,000 like entry level kind of thing, right? Well, I went into the room and they have some speakers that were $11,400 or something, floor standers, really nice speakers, and I'm like, dude, are these made in Denmark? And they said, yes, they are. Later on, I come to find out that Borison is owned 45% by the Chinese. So I highly doubt, like this is speculation, but I doubt they're making an $11,400 floor stander in Denmark 100%. Maybe they're doing final assembly there, but so I don't have respect for that. To me, that's like somebody trying to cheat. But Burleson was like, you know, we're made in China. You got a problem with that? And I said, yeah, I do. He didn't say you have a problem with that, but that's their stance. They stand for it. So much respect to them for standing for it, because the other guys hide it, you know, and that I have zero respect for. I wouldn't own a Borison product, you know. Plus I went in there and they're playing techno music and dancing around and stuff, and it's like, dude, you can't judge a speaker playing techno music. You know what? I could make a Guitar Center. I could go get a PA for $1,000 in Guitar Center that would punch out techno music really good. You know, right? It would sound great. It's pulses. You know, I mean, pretty much anything can do that. Anything can play techno music. You know, but to do dynamic shading and imaging and depth and all that, they weren't clueless. And it's funny, these Euro guys that do the techno music, it's funny. It's like Gun Sprockets. It's like I've got sprockets and they're just doing their little, we do sprockets, you know, doing their little techno music. So it's funny to see that sometimes, you know. Sometimes they're doing some nice, beautiful orchestral music, but I'll probably be going to Munich this year to go to the show there and report back. But anyways, I wanted to do this. I'm getting a little long-winded here. Wanted to give you guys a show report and let you know that all in all, I did enjoy coming here. So anyways, wanted to report back and see you guys later. All right, see you.